And yes, let's now turn to the big focus story. We continue the spotlight on the issue of air pollution and we take a look at the policies of the government. To what extent is it working in favor of reducing the pollution situation in the national capital? The air quality as of now remains poor. And given the situation, primary schools will reopen day after tomorrow on the 9th of November. As Delhi continues to choke, polluting vehicles are also being re-allowed now. They were banned for a while till the Graded Response Action Plan Part 4 was in place. Now that has been lifted. 50% work from home also lifted. This was applicable to government offices. The question we are raising is why trivialize people's lives? Why take a chance with children's health? That is the question here. Primary schools will reopen even as air emergency. In a way, a health emergency is in place. Pollution pain continues. The netas are complicit. We are questioning the plan that is in place right now to tackle the situation. Is it a faulty plan and a failed implementation? The Commission for Air Quality Management on the 6th of November was revoked. The GRAP-4, the Graded Response Action Plan 4, which had imposed restrictions across Delhi and National Capital Region. This has happened since the Air Quality Index showed slight improvement. Now remember, a lot of factors come in when we talk about air quality improvement. When the wind direction changes, there again, there could be a marginal dip in the air quality, but that does not mean that we are ready to lift restrictions. That is one point of view. We'll of course have experts on the show, but what entails the GRAP-4 withdrawal? That is playing out on your screens right now. Remember, the CAQM took the decision to revoke the restrictions imposed under this stage at a meeting, but GRAP 1 to 3, those will continue to apply. Curbs on diesel-powered vehicles have been lifted. Trucks are now permitted to enter the capital. Primary schools, like I mentioned, will reopen from the 9th of November. 50% work from home also revoked. Our correspondents Nukul and Ishika are tracking the story very closely. We will look at both these aspects of the school reopening as well as the issue of allowing diesel vehicles. 50% of the contributing factors is coming from polluting vehicles. So at a time like this, why is it that the government has decided to revoke GRAP-4? Now remember, there is a strict guideline, there's a process in place. And here what we see is that strictly going by that process, because the air quality has marginally improved, GRAP-4 does not apply. But if we look at the overall cost-benefit analysis, isn't it too early? We are still looking at huge health hazards that the citizens of Delhi are facing. Let me go across to our reporters Nukul and Ishika joining us. Let me have Ishika first to tell us more about what exactly is the situation when it comes to children. Okay, I'm told Ela is with us. Okay, I'm not connected to my colleagues right now, but pictures are on your screens, viewers. The different locations that you see from early this morning, the fog, literally the polluting agents that are at play can be seen because there is this thick smog, not fog, beg your pardon, this is smog that we are talking about. Different government buildings that you're looking at your screens completely shrouded in a white blanket. That's the visible situation, beg your pardon. But what is more important are the health hazards that people are going through. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at what are the risks for children, what is at stake for children. Can the young children, the primary school children, actually return to classrooms at a time like this when the air quality is so hazardous for health? Ela is joining us with more. My colleague Ela has been tracking the ground inputs on the story. Yes, Ela, over to you. How are the citizens responding to this? The fact that GRAP-4 has now been revoked, which means diesel vehicles will be allowed and schools will reopen from day after tomorrow. Ela, can you hear me? Over to you to tell us more about this. Let me go across to Ela. Okay, now she's connected with us. Ela, just wanted to know from you, the fact that the government policy as per the GRAP now entails that diesel vehicle will be allowed and schools will reopen. somebody who lives in Delhi, do you feel this is the right time? What is the response from citizens on this? I'm not able to hear Ela at all. I think we need to reconnect with her. Ela, can you hear me? I'm afraid we were not connected to you earlier. Please go ahead and please repeat what you were saying earlier.
Well, I was saying that the improvement is marginal but not significant in National Capital Delhi, as the AQI is still in very poor category right now. The AQI is around 322. Earlier it was crossing, it has crossed 400 mark in National Capital Delhi. It still is in very poor category. Now the government has decided to let go of the grab 4 stage, but grab 3 stage would continue now. From tomorrow the primary schools are opening. Even the order which was like that 50% of employees will work from home in government sectors will have to go back to offices, and also there are the curbs on the government construction has been lifted, like the highway and railways construction was also banned for some time, but it has been lifted. But private entities of demolition and construction would remain banned in National Capital Delhi. Now, talking about what people believe, people are right now saying that even like it is too soon to lift off the curbs, and government have to ensure that the air quality does not dip for any further, because as the winters are coming, the wind speed would be slow, and that is what the people are right now fearing, that it should not become gas chamber again. But there is a clear smog in the morning as well, so it is not a very good condition in National Capital Delhi. But the lift of grab 4 has been now lifted, and grab 3 would continue. But authorities have to ensure that that there is no other problem of pollution in a city, and they have to, as well as talking about the neighboring state of Punjab and Haryana, ensure that the stubble burning should not go up. And we have seen that there was increase in stubble burning in Punjab, and also the amount of stubble burning causing pollution in Delhi has increased as well. So now the authorities have to make sure that no farmers are well made aware about the fact that stubble burning problem has caused to the people of Delhi and NCR, because it has led to many illness, like people are these days having chest pain, cough and dizziness, as well as they are not able to breathe properly. I have been talking to so many people, and the feedback which I had received even is that young children, like small children, are having problems of breathing and having problem of cough and cold. Now the schools are being opened from tomorrow, and primary schools that too, and very small kids come to that school of age 3 and 4, and exposing them into this amount of pollution, which is still in very poor category, is what concerning the parents right now. Politics is being played over it, but the truth is that
Thanks for running us through them. Ela, thanks very much for reporting on the latest from the national capital. I have experts on the program. Joining me here is Saloon K. Subhash, Senior Advisor of the Indian Institute of Public Health, that is PHFI. We'll also have Mr. Nayan Parikh shortly. He's a social commentator. With us on the program is Abinash Mohanty, environmental expert. Very good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us here on The Big Focus. The concerns are many at this stage, but the question that we are raising is that isn't it too soon to lift curbs? The government has already started the process of rolling back GRAP, Mr. Salunke. To what extent do you agree that this is something that is working as per process and procedure? To what extent do you feel that this should not purely go by the book, but only by the ground situation and the number of people impacted?
Absolutely. I think I do not know who are the decision makers in Delhi, and I thank God I'm not staying in Delhi. I'm in Pune. By looking at the situation through your channel and other channels, I really feel so perturbed that the small children at the age of say 7, 8, 9 have to go in the morning in this particular kind of smog or polluted air, and that wonderful fellow or the team of the people there in Delhi, on what basis are they deciding? Is it a kind of a theoretical exercise that they are doing it and revoking these restrictions, particularly on the children? Rest of the things I think we can debate and discuss, but at this juncture, it will be extremely unwise for Delhi government or those who are decision makers to immediately revoke the restrictions and asking children to attend the school in this kind of a situation. That is not fair. This is, as a public health expert, I feel what government of Delhi and the concerned people are attempting to do is not acceptable. And if I were to be staying in Delhi, I would not have asked my grandchild to attend the school. I would have definitely prevented him or her, saying that please wait for some more time. And
Yes.
once the improvement is there, definitely, I mean, everyone wants their children to attend the school. It's not only the government people want them to do that. Parents are quite responsible. So are also the schools themselves. But this is, as of now, as an acute problem. It's a health emergency. So let us respond to this health emergency by taking a lot of measures. I'm sure government of Delhi and the concerned authorities are taking measures, but at the same time, to be specifically focusing on attendance of the children in the school, this is not the right time. That's my personal view.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Salunke. You know, the fact that you are saying and endorsing the fact that this is a health emergency and we only need to look at it like that. Welcome, Mr. Nayan Parekh. Thanks for joining the program. I'll come to you in a bit, but Mr. Salunke, Subhash had asked this question on who is deciding. Obviously, there you have the center and the state both guilty. You have so many of these committees and boards. Let's put them out on our screens. What comes under center, what comes under state. There is the Commission for Air Quality Management, CAQM, that decides on what kicks in when. So the rollout that we are talking about of GRAP 4, that is the rollback, in fact, is a decision taken by this commission. There is the Center Pollution Control Board, CPCB, there is NGT, there is Ministry of Health and Environment and Forests. All of these agencies are looking at the pollution problem, and they all are responsible for the decisions. In the case of GRAP, it would be, I suppose, the central government authority, central government body called CAQM. Let's listen in to what the state government has to say on this. Mr. Gopal Rai, the minister in the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi, spoke about this earlier. Let's listen in.
दिल्ली के अंदर वर्क फ्रॉम होम के जो निर्देश थे, अब आज से फुल कैपेसिटीज में ऑफिसेज में वर्क किया जा रहा है। प्राइमरी स्कूल बंद कर दिए गए थे और उसके ऊपर के कक्षाओं के जो ओपन एक्टिविटीज़ थी उसे भी प्रतिबंधित किया गया था। 9 तारीख से प्राइमरी स्कूल भी खोले जाएंगे और जो एक्टिविटी पर प्रतिबंध था उसे भी हटाया जा रहा है।
Yes, Mr. Nayan Parekh, your thoughts on this? There is a huge amount of concern. Parents are worried that at a time like this, how do I allow my child to step out? We heard a public health expert saying this is just not the right time. To hell with GRAP, we don't know how that operates. But the fact of the matter is this air is poisonous. And you have a situation where you heard the minister saying, let's get back to offices, let's get back to schools.
I feel that let us have a little bit of clear norms instead of some politician or some government officer deciding. Can we not have clear-cut norms that if the air pollution is above a certain level, then these curbs would kick in. And once only the air is clear, we would lift these curbs. Otherwise, you take decisions based on so many non-meritorious considerations, at times political compulsions, at times other considerations, which would put our children to unnecessary peril. And I feel that is what is kind of, avoidable. I think a clear path so that the parents of the children are aware that, now the air is clear and therefore my child is safe to go. And there are world standards on this. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to follow these more clearly instead of kind of, putting the curb now, lifting it maybe after a week. And second, my observation is that this is happening year after year. Why can't we curb the main cause of this? After all, we can't be facing this every year. I can imagine, as the other speaker said, that we are not in Delhi, but think of people who would be in Delhi. And if you face it every year and then suddenly you take decisions of putting curbs and you kind of remove the curbs without a clear-cut communication to the parents and to the citizens, I think that is very, very inappropriate and puts people to a lot of uncertainty, ambiguity and anger.
No clarity, and that can lead to a lot of anxiety. Abinash Mohanty, the other side of the argument is that the government is following a procedure. You cannot simply ban activities. The city must be sustained. For instance, diesel vehicles beyond a certain point cannot be banned since there are essential commodities, there are supplies to be delivered, and that cannot be put on hold indefinitely. There's the issue of children being kept away from schools after a prolonged period of COVID imposed restrictions. Now again, to have children, not attending schools is not a good idea. So how do you respond to those who believe that, yes, let's go by the book, let's go by the restrictions that have been very clearly laid down on GRAP? What is wrong in rolling back one level if the air quality has improved?
Good evening, Afrida, and good evening to everyone in the panel. Well, let's take a step back because all of us, we are trying to discuss what is happening now. Let's take a step back and think through. Air pollution problem is not a new problem. Air pollution problem has been year on year now, and it needs year-long solutions. We can't come back after Diwali, waking up and trying to fix up GRAP 4 or GRAP 3 and a CAQM deciding our fate. There has to be a certain trade-off. We are just recovering from a prolonged pandemic. Economic activities are at kind of stake. We are just kind of limping back. So all of these factors once considered, only thing that can come into the rescue is science-based targets. I completely agree with what Mr. Parekh has just said, that let's not kind of reinvent the wheel every time. Let's not make it an ad hoc approach. Let's have fixed levels. We always have kind of category limits set. If this kind of category breaches happen, then these are the activities that has to be imposed. There is nothing that has to go beyond the rule book. That's one. Second is, while we are going by the rule book, there is also the livelihoods. Of course, the children's lives are at stake, but there is the livelihood options. Think of construction workers who have just came back from a 2-year-long pandemic, and again, you'll have to stop back every year for a couple of months with air quality issue across Delhi and Delhi NCR. And this is not just the case. Dr. Salunke says that he's very happy in Pune, but let me tell you, Pune also comes down in a non-attainment city list. And tomorrow, Pune will also be grappling with similar problem, and nobody can be escaped out. That's a challenge that we have. So we need to understand science-based targets. These targets, what have been put forward, needs to be looked from science-based assessments. And now, God forbid, we have good analysis and good numbers at our hand to take this decision, to take this risk-informed decision. Let's get out of the ad hoc positions and let's not shift our goalposts every time.
What will you suggest as a solution? You mentioned that year on year it's the same story. We do know that the big polluting factors by now. Vehicular pollution is one. The stubble burning issue has not been addressed, and by now it's clear that there is no political intent to address it, sir. The farmer appeasement issue is there. The issue of state-center coordination is there. There are major stumbling blocks here. Mr. Subhash Salunke, what do you think? How can we find a way out?
I think, April, you have really clearly indicated what these problems are. This is a very peculiar situation where we know the disease. We have a wonderful diagnosis tools are there. We know what needs to be done. What is missing is the link of real implementation. And the points that you have very rightly stated. See, air pollution or overall pollution is a global, national, and particularly local issue. Now, the issue, for example, what is the situation in Delhi and in Pune, that differentiation is bound to be there depending upon number of factors. However, and as Abinash was indicating, that, just up to, up to October, we don't do anything. Only after Diwali, when a lot of, and stubble burning starts taking place and everybody starts shouting. So I'm really surprised that, we are indicating that we are going to be a very prosperous, progressive, Vishwaguru kind of a nation, and we are not in position to tackle the basic issues. And these politicians call themselves so powerful. Why can't they undertake some of the policy decisions at the national level, insist, and there are a lot of legal backings for that, and ensure that the implementation takes place. Take example of COVID. COVID has shown us that a particular tragedy or public health emergency can be handled with the might, and that success story can be repeated even for air pollution, even though there are factors beyond this nation. But at the same time, I personally feel that the ownership and actually taking the bull by horn at the level of the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister is lacking. That is the basics. If that happens, I'm pretty certain we may not be able to get rid of this problem in totality, but we will certainly have some kind of solutions which will be implementable at the
But for children,
local
Mr.
level.
Subhash, what do you suggest? For children, it's a tough balancing act for parents. We don't want our children to miss out on their academic calendar, yet we cannot send them out in a situation like this.
Right now, as of today, tomorrow, it is unwise to start schools in Delhi. It is unwise. If it is extended by a few days more, skies are not going to fall. 2 years, children have not gone to the school. We are suffering due to that. I agree that the 2 years absence of children in school has certainly its deleterious effects. However, when the intensity of pollution is so much in Delhi, it's a really poisonous air. What wonderful this minister in Delhi is saying कि चलो कल से शुरू कर देंगे. भाई साहब 2-4 दिन नहीं गए बच्चे तो कोई आसमान नहीं गिरेगा. रहने दीजिए. Particularly children with asthma, particularly COPD children. There are children. Individual child has his or her own problem. So I think it is at this juncture, if you wait for a few days more, and you can start rest of the economic activities. I agree with Abinash that after all, livelihood issues need to be addressed. But at the same time, dear sir, some decisions to protect our children overrides all other.
Because there's a rollback at 3 levels. There's a rollback on the issue on the ban on polluting vehicles. So the polluting vehicles are now allowed. There is a rollback on the work from home. All government officers have to be back. That again means more vehicles on the road, and the schools are being opened. So at multiple levels, it seems as if, with a little dip in the air quality, the government has decided that we are back to business. Nayan Parikh, is that something you feel is healthy at this point of time in terms of the tough balancing act that the 2 other speakers also pointed out? Where do you stand?
I think it is a balancing act where if we give the government its due, the counterpoint to what we are thinking is that if there is a window open and they are, I think, obviously seeing it, though we don't have that data available with us, because they are not only allowing children, they are allowing vehicles, they are seeing something which is obviously not in public domain with all of us. But I feel it would be very, very naive for any government to do all these 3 unless they see some kind of a promising trend, which means that winter is just beginning. Now, if we have curve now, so would it continue for coming 2-3 months? We would need to see that this is some kind of a heavy antibiotic that we are taking by keeping everyone at home. Can that be sustainable for coming 3 months? It cannot be. And with winter, getting more cold, would we have more issues? And therefore, do we need to take a balanced view that if it is possible, if there is some window open, how do we encourage some bit of normalcy to happen? Which means that can we have the masks on? Would N95 help? If we can't keep everything at home and if we need to do some economic activity if we want to have education kind of, as a continued children's pursuit, then how should we do it? I think let us look at some kind of possibilities. Do we have air purifier at the school? Do we keep the masks compulsory? How can we minimize the damage? How can we not kind of, hamper the children's education and still save them from the ultimate kind of, poison that they would inhale? I think that is the challenge, and that is where
It is being inhaled by little children who do not have a voice in any of this. That is the saddest part, I feel, where you're subjecting children and their delicate lungs to this kind of poisonous air. It's inexcusable that the future generation of children growing up in the national capital will have to grow up with damaged lungs. Mr. Abinash, is that acceptable? Shouldn't we be really questioning both the center and the state on this, that what are you planning to do with the children and their health and this kind of pollution levels if you're not able to control it?
I think the questions are imperative. It goes without saying. We don't need to ask these questions, right? First of all, while we are looking at air pollution, let's not look at air pollution only during November and December and January. Let's start having that year-long approach first. And that year-long
No, even November, December, even during this period, you have the Prime Minister campaigning in Himachal, in Gujarat. You have the State Chief Minister campaigning at the moment, seeking votes at the moment in other states. Do you really think there is focus even in these high crisis period? I'm afraid not. The leadership has completely lost the plot, sir. I refuse to give any credit at all, both to the center and the state. The reason I ran the number of pollution regulatory bodies that exist on paper is for that, to tell our viewers that look at the number of people working on taxpayers' money in these many committees and tribunals and boards. But what are they doing? Even during this period, sir, there is no focus on this issue. I heard Mr. Salunke say this is a health emergency. What are we doing? Drop everything else. Think about the children.
And in order to do that, Afrida, if I can just add one point, is that this has to become a citizen movement. And without that, without all of us coming together at the same stake, we can't fight air pollution, and basically we can't sensitize all the key stakeholders. So with that, we need to have science-based target, but that science-based target should actually support and conquer with the larger citizen movement, without which we will only be shifting the goalpost and we will be shifting our priorities every time.
Yes, that is the point, priorities. Can we prioritize this? Can we set aside elections for a bit? We'll obviously not do so. The stakes are very high there. The stakes for the government are not high enough here. That is what surprises me no end. Quick last word to you, Salunke Subhash and Nayan Parekh. Mr. Subhash, you first.
I think I sincerely feel this is not the priority for central government or the state government. So long as there is a crisis, they will try and do and fight it out. And then after this crisis is over, they come back to the normal kind of a situation. And as Abinash is saying, it has to be planned for long-term basis, where community or the people's participation is definitely a very important aspect. But at the same time, I refuse to, make the community or people as a responsible person, a responsible entity. It is the government. They have law, they have funds, they have might. If they want to use these three to curtail the pollution, they can succeed. And they have to take care of our children. It is parents will be and society will be responsible.
But nobody is raising hell about this, sir, except for this channel. Take a look at what the other national channels are running at the moment. No one cares.
Madam,
we have
no
consistently run this issue day after day on my program, at least, because we do not want the government to think that no one is questioning. We are questioning. But where is the citizens movement? Where are the civil society groups? Nayan Parekh?
Afrida, I agree with you completely that this is government failure, and I think it is happening every year. Abhi monsoon to abhi winter shuru nahi hua aur ye ho gaya hai. So I think we need to first understand that government must make this a priority. And how would it happen? As you rightly said, channels will have to make it a issue. Citizen movement has to make it an issue. In election, this has to be an issue. If it is not an issue in election, perhaps political parties would not look at it. And second, I am saying that even if the curbs are lifted, I would suggest parents to take their own call. If they don't feel safe, they must not send the children, because no matter, I mean, not having curb doesn't mean it is compulsory. I think if you miss out a day or two, it is just fine. And therefore, I feel that health is priority also for the parents. And they must not go by lifting of curb that they have to automatically send the children. So I think after what government says, let the parents also decide whether it is appropriate for them to do it or not. It's like any industry or business or anybody moving outside in this post-corona situation. I mean, you do it at your own risk, and therefore you would wear the mask and go, or just not go, just because it is allowed.
So, you know, but then that's the issue. You're saying the citizens must learn to fend for themselves. They are doing so. They are doing so. But then, like you also rightly mentioned, we have to elect the right people to the job. There's an opportunity in Delhi with the MCD elections. There's an opportunity with state elections. Let's choose wisely. Let's choose people who will be concerned about people's issues. Thanks very much. I thank the panel joining us this evening on this very important issue. Salunke, Subhash Nayan Parekh and Abinash Mohanty. Appreciate your joining us.